Hello, my name is Gabrielle Salucci. I attend Cabrini University. For my 101 class, I created a website about the media research I had conducted about sustainable fashion. Before I did this project, I did not think much about sustainable fashion. I knew it existed, but I didn't really give a second thought to it. Like many Americans, I just thought that it's just a t-shirt or a pair of shoes or a skirt, but it's a lot more than that. After my research, I found that many people, mostly women from poor countries, are working hours upon hours in sweatshops, and some of these workers are barely even in their teens. And by the end of the week, you only make a few bucks. Even then, most of the they don't even get to keep most of the money. The money is mostly spent on their families because they live in such poor environments. They usually spend it on their siblings, their parents, and they only get to keep like $1 or two for themselves, really. Social media has helped many social justice causes like the hashtag #MeToo movement and the Black Lives Matter movement by allowing those people to tell their stories themselves in their own words without it being manipulated by news channels like Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. They don't have to worry about it being manipulated by those news channels because of their respective political agendas. However, for sustainable fashion, I found there were the tweets were mostly about recycling clothes and how to take like an old t-shirt and recycle it to make a new dress or something like that. It didn't really talk about the sweatshops or the child labor in these poor countries. And I feel that's just as important to talk about as recycling the clothes. There, because everyone should know what sustainable fashion is as a whole, not just this one part of it. Because people who don't really know much about it just want to think, oh, it's just taking my old t-shirt and making it into a scarf or something. It's a lot more than that, and focusing on this one area really going to isn't really going to help the cause. So I think all aspects of it should be talked about because there's no because that's like only talking about half. There's only like, let's take a math problem for example. You can write out the equation, and but if it's a two-step problem, and you only put part of the answer. You're not gonna get the final solution, and without that final solution, what's the point in even doing the problem? I wish people knew more about the companies that are trying to make sustainable fashion more available for consumers and to put an end to sweatshops. There are there are companies like this called Project Just, Know the Chain, Plant Money Makes a T-shirt, and more websites and organizations like these that help inform people about the benefits of sustainable fashion. And they also tell you the story behind making a t-shirt. They go to different countries and interview these people. They interview the companies that they make the clothes for. They talk about their lives. It and they and how it's all grown, like the cotton and stuff, how that's all grown and everything. Um, it's a it takes a lot more than a person just sewing a piece of fabric together. It's it's really like this whole shipping process and everything. And like I said before, these people hardly make any money, so that's a lot to think about. Uh, these websites also tell you about which companies are not sustainable fashion friendly, like H&M, Gap, and even Walmart. Like clothes at Walmart, they're not sustainable fashion friendly, which really was shocking to me because it's Walmart. You don't really. It's a multi-convenience store. There's food, there's home cooking appliances, there's bathroom products, and there's clothing, but you don't really think too much about the clothes where Walmart gets it until you find out that they're not sustainable fashion friendly, which is very shocking. So I went on Project Just and I researched one of the brands that I buy a lot, which is Nike. I chose Nike because I really like their athletic wear. They have really cute clothes and comfy sneakers to go running in, and it's also kind of reasonably priced for the most part. And I kind of made a list of the pros and cons of Nike. So the pros are they make deep connections with their athletes because athletes are the main consumer of their brand. They make clothes specifically for athletes. It wouldn't make much sense if they made clothes for athletes but targeted, I don't know, people who don't like to exercise. That's pretty stupid. So obviously they are very, and you see all of these like famous athletes like Michael Jordan working with Nike to make specific brands for that athlete and to sell them. So they do have a deep connection with their athletes. This next pro actually falls in line with the cons. I'm going to say the con first, and then I'm going to say the pro. So the con is many female employees feel sexually harassed and discriminated every day at the Nike Corporation. In one article that I read, many women have described it as a toxic workplace. Women make up half the workforce, but only 38% of women that work for Nike are at the director level positions, and 29% are at the VP level positions. And for the shoe called Vapor Max shoes, they're supposed to be specifically for women, and the original ad for it were supposed to be women dancing on stripper poles, and you hardly saw the shoe, which I think is just disgusting. Because what does that have to do with athletic wear? That's so. I don't even know what the hell what was going on in their heads. So, yeah, I'm glad that got cut. But they are. But the pro is Nike is making changes to put more in effort to make the working environment female friendly and to not have discrimination. So Nike recently made changes for these discriminating environment for women by letting go of higher male employees who have been sexually harassing women at Nike. For example, Nike's former president Trevor Edwards and Nike's global business leader Jamie Martin were let go because they were sexually harassing women, and they were like, you can't do that, and if you're not going to change your ways, bye. Which I'm very happy they did do that. And so a woman who has worked there a long time named Amy Montaigne replaced Martin's role as the head of the global business at Nike, and another woman named Kelly Leonard was promoted to be Nike's Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer, which is a brand new working position at Nike. So I believe her position is to regulate that the workplace is a safe environment for everyone despite their race, gender, whatever, which is very good. And the most recent thing was Nike is the collar Kaepernick ad, which I put both in pro and con. So I put this in for con because it wasn't really an ethical choice for for Nike to use Colin Kaepernick. They just kind of saw like all the controversy he was making and how much publicity he was getting because of it, and they're just kind of riding on the coattails of that. Also, there's politics. If you don't share the same views as Kaepernick, you're obviously not gonna like him. But a pro for this is, again, politics. If you do agree with Kaepernick's views, then you're obviously going to like the ad. Also, I'm going to admit, I'm not a huge Colin Kaepernick fan, but I'm not going to burn my Nike products just because I don't like them. I'm just going to shop somewhere else. Or I'm not really going to pay too much attention to the ad. I think it's really stupid that people are burning their shoes. Like, honestly, yes, you're going out to buy Nike shoes just to burn them. Where is Nike losing this? You're spending your money at Nike to burn their shoes, so you're giving them giving them your money, and you're also giving them free publicity. I'm sorry, if you're burning Nike stuff, you're an idiot. You're just an idiot. There's no other word for it. You're an idiot. Also, Nike has made. They also care about culture diversity, which is another pro that I found, because they actually made special hijabs for Muslim women to wear when they are running. And I think that is very interesting because I've never really seen that before. I'm not Muslim, so I can't really relate to them, but I think that's a step in the right direction. As I've worked on this project, I've come to understand that the media's role in society is to inform people like consumers what goes on behind the scenes of these big companies and to persuade or dissuade people to support specific brands with facts in the forms of all media such as video, radio, pictures, interviews, documentaries. The media plays a much bigger role, but we don't really notice that a lot because we're just constantly surrounded by media. And I think media is kind of almost underappreciated in a way because this media is pretty much the only way to get your news information now. Not many people still buy newspapers. Everything's pretty much online, and so I think media deserves a little bit more appreciation when it comes to when it comes to giving out news facts and telling people stories.